During this tutorial, we're going to be going over the paperwork we're going to start using. The first two forms that we're going to go over is the service call worksheet and the other is a sketch. In this mock flood, it will be a pipe break that happened to a ranch style home, flooded the entire home. It will be 2-foot flood cuts throughout the whole unit. On the sketch here, you'll notice that there is a compass pointing north, south, east, and west. This is for when we get into the atmospherics and the moisture map. On this side with the actual sketch, we have a living room, bedroom, kitchen, bathroom, and master bedroom. In this sketch, you will notice that each one of these rooms corresponds to a number on the service call worksheet. The numbers and or the room names need to match whatever you have written down on the sketch. When going through, any line item that starts with 1 is for the living room. So if you come down to the following where the demo walls are, 1 would be where the living room would correspond. Going through this, we're going to go through every single line item to make sure that everyone understands what needs to be put into there. The ceiling, this is for the height of the ceiling, not as far as drywall or anything like that. This is just the height. So if you have a 20-foot ceiling, you put 20 feet here. Coming over to level, the level would be if the home has a basement or if that room is in the basement, the first floor, second, and or third floor, depending on what type of home you're working in. Flooring type, this is the type of floor that is down when you arrive on site. So hardwood, carpet, tile, vinyl, any kind of flooring you want to put in or that you see when you get out there, you have to put in this area. Is that floor going to be salvageable? In here, you notice that there is 4 floors on here that will not be salvageable, 1 that is. In this mock flood, the flooring or the underlayment is a concrete slab. HEPA backing, this is where you would put down the square footage for any areas that you would be HEPA backing. We use this mostly in mold jobs, not necessarily on all water losses. The apply here, this is for applying antimicrobial. When you go through this, in order to figure out the square footage, you would look at living room, go over to the sketch, and go 12 times 16 gets you the 192. Each one of these you would have to figure out the square footage of and put it in this line item. Extraction. This is for any areas that have standing water. If you're going to be extracting from carpet or pad, this is where you would put it. It is a one-time charge for the extraction. You cannot charge for extraction of the carpet and the pad. So please be mindful that this will just be the square footage of the area. We have 2 on here for the 120 and the 160 because that's where the carpet is. The other areas do not have standing water in them. Cleaning, this is also more of a line item that would be used for mold losses. This line item is if you are going to be hand wiping square footage areas such as the drywall or studs that we've already done demo to. Mopping and steam clean. Steam clean is primarily used for the sewage losses. So if you do end up using that, please be mindful that it might be on for a sewage loss. Air mover, dehue, and air scrubber. These are the 3 main big pieces of equipment that we actually end up using. The air movers here, you would just figure out how much you're going to need and place it into this area. The dehumidifiers, same thing. And here, the mock flood here, it's roughly around 900 square feet total. So we would put 2 dehumidifiers in that area. Dropping down here, this is where the demo walls correspond with the living room, bedroom, bathroom. So the 1 to the 1, 2 to the 2. So in the living room, It's all drywall, we said. There's 94 square feet that will need to be removed. In order to figure out the square footage, you would go in the living room, the length times 2 gets you the square footage because you're doing a 2-foot flood cut. Going over to the demo of the insulation, all the insulation in this area is batt insulation. This number is different on this side, mainly because only the exterior walls of this mock flood are wet. So we would say in the living room, 16 times 12 gets you the amount that you would need for the demo of the batt insulation. Hardwood floor on the demo flooring in the living room would be the same square footage as that you've already calculated. So you would just input the numbers here. Again, it's 16 times 12 gets you to the 192. When you're doing the demoing of the floor, any kind of additional demo, so the carpet and then the carpet pad, you would want to separate those line items. Some areas, such as commercial losses, you might not have a carpet pad underneath it, so the best way to do it is to split that apart. Coming down to vent holes. This is venting holes or drilling holes for ventilation into the wall cavities. On this line item, you would want to just put how many holes you put in that room. So if you're going into the bedroom, you would want to put how many you just cored into the drywall. In this mock flood, we're removing all the drywall so we don't have to put any vent holes. The tack strips going through, this would only be used on carpet areas to where the bedroom and master bedroom is. To calculate this, it would just be the linear foot, so you would measure all these areas, and that's how you would get the total amount for the tack strip. Appliance detach. Appliance detach is not necessarily just for in the kitchen. If you have any kind of big items that you do want to remove, such as a toilet, or if the bathroom needed to have the shower removed, you would put that in this line item. Thermal fog and encapsulant. In these, you could just put yes. There is just one line item that we use for those. So if we are going to encapsulate or thermal fog entire rooms, just put a yes or a no, and we could go ahead and put that in there. Specialty equipment. This is used for any kind of equipment that you use on a job that is out of the ordinary. So if you have to put a generator in, that's where this would go. You would put the generator in, or a power washer, or any kind of bigger equipment that you would need to use. Coming down here, this is where baseboard, the shoe, and is it salvageable. So the baseboard you would put on this area, the shoe you would put on this area. On here, I did mess up on purpose because I put the linear foot on this when this area, as far as number 4, the master bedroom, would not have any shoe in it due to the fact that the entire area is carpet. So this would not need to be there. So you do have to be mindful of what is in the room as far as the flooring type and everything that you are going through and putting into the service call worksheet. Removing of the trim and casing. This is for any kind of door trim. So all you have to do is figure out how many door casings you've actually removed and put the number into here. On this, we're only removing the side panel casings, not the one on the top. Door removal. Please put on here if it's a wood door, a metal door, whatever type of door, because there is different line items that we would need to use to charge accordingly. PNL removal, that's panel. So if you have any areas with wainscoting or any kind of areas that the paneling would be affected and need to be removed, that needs to be calculated. Floor protection. The floor protection is for if we are covering any type of floor to keep it safe. So if we're covering carpet shield, put that down for this area. If we're putting down plastic for a runner from the front door to the area, we want to put that in here. Blocking of the furniture. This is used for keeping furniture off of the ground. If there's any kind of still residual wet moisture, we would want to use that. On this, you would actually calculate how many blocks you would use. Content protection. This is for covering any kind of content that's in the rooms. So in this mock flood, the living room, bedroom, and the master bedroom, they all have content in them to where we would want to cover. The kitchen, not so much. The bathroom, same thing. It's more inside the cabinets. You're not really going to be covering that unless you put it down as the cabinets need to be covered. In this one, we do not need to cover the cabinets because it's all coming out. On the demo cabinets, here there's uppers and lowers. On here, I did put this down to have the vanity and the kitchen cabinets. Coming over here, it's just the lowers. There's no need to remove the uppers because this is just a mock flood of 2-foot flood cuts. So it would be 4. You would just measure the linear foot. Linear foot, not the square footage for the demoing of the cabinets. Salvage or not, just mark down if we're going to be saving it or trashing it. Toe kick remove. Toe kick remove is when we are going to be trying to dry underneath the cabinets. In this one, we are removing the cabinets. So toe kick removal is mainly just if we need to get airflow underneath the cabinets to try to dry. Countertop removal. Countertop removal, please put on here what type it is. If it's a laminate top, if it's a granite, quartz, whatever the customer tells you that it is, please put it on here because we could charge accordingly for that. On this, you want to get the square footage. So 4 by 2 gets you to 8. Please put that in for the square footage. And then also mark down what type of sink you have. Is it a double sink? Is it a single? Is it a farmhouse sink? We have to try to calculate that as best we can. Coming down here to ceiling and ceiling insulation. So for this, you want to put what the square footage is, what type it is, and then if it's for the ceiling or the ceiling insulation. Coming over to HVAC and the vents, this is if we're going to be doing any kind of cleaning for the vents. So cleaning, yes, how many air handlers there are, and the number of vents. This will make us be able to produce the estimate accordingly and have us charge per vent. Containment and zip pulls. On here, this is what you would want to use if we are pretty much at a mold job and trying to contain an area, or if we are doing demo in one room of a flood and opposed to this one where we're doing demo in all of the areas, you would want to put that in this area. The easiest way, just measure the door and the height, and you can put the square footage in here. The notes section, any kind of thing that you want to put into the notes that you think is helpful, please put it in there. Content manipulation, put how many guys that you think this is going to take to move content. Put that any kind of information as far as insurance in here. If they have the adjuster, put that down. The granite has a seam, that way we know, hey, this might break right there. We can put that in the estimate as a precaution to people so that we can figure out, what we need to do and or let the customer know something might happen. If you see any kind of issues with a job, put it in the note section. That will help us out a lot, and it will make sure that we capture as much information for these losses that we can. This paperwork The service call worksheet and the sketch, they kind of correspond to each other, and they are going to make everybody's life easier. This is why we're doing it, is to capture as much information and to get as much money out of every job that we can and still produce a valuable service to the customer.